This video will talk about our second reading apprenticeship exercise, and this is called a Think Aloud, and it's one of the basic things that you do in reading apprenticeship. And what it asks you to do is to talk about what you're thinking while you're reading. It sounds easy, it's a little intimidating at first, but there's a couple rules that will help you. The first one is that you need to say what you're thinking, and sometimes that's a little intimidating because maybe you think your question is silly or stupid. There are no silly or stupid questions, and that's actually how we make meaning when we read, so it's important to ask those questions. There are no incorrect responses for Think Aloud, just what's happening in your brain, what you're thinking. The only time you would have an incorrect answer is if you say, I don't know, or you don't write anything. The idea here is to really get at what's going on in your mind. Use the sentence starters to help you organize your thoughts and ideas. So, all right, Mrs. Rader, what's a sentence starter? There they are. Predicting, I predict. The next part, I think this is. Visualizing, questioning, making connections, identifying a problem, using fix-ups, and summarizing. You're not going to use all of these every time. Don't look at this as a list of a big checklist to go down, but suggestions are the kind of things that will help you get started. After you use these a couple times, you won't need any kind of checklist, and you start getting a little more comfortable with expressing your thoughts. You don't have to start at the top, and you don't have to include everything. Maybe you're looking at something like a picture, and maybe prediction is the last thing you do. Or maybe you're not going to reread it, you're going to relook at it. So this is just a starting point to get you thinking. Take risks. We all have questions that might seem obvious, but exploring those ideas is what we use to make meaning in our brains when we read and when we look at different kind of texts. We're going to look at a picture, a speech, President Obama's victory speech. And for this example, we're going to look at a wordle, which is a word cloud. So this is the text we're going to look at, and I added our sentence stems here. I'm going to end this slideshow, and I'm also going to open up a screen here where I can collect my ideas. So let's look at this. I'm looking at this wordle, and I'm thinking, why is it black and white? That's my first thing. It strikes me that the word country is big. So I wonder about why country is the biggest word. Now, if you haven't ever looked at a wordle, or you ever had to use one, a wordle takes the words that are in a speech or a text, and the ones that are most frequently used end up bigger. So country must be, could this mean that country is a central idea of the text? And then we have the word together, future, and forward, future, forward, future and forward. Those are both words about what might happen. Oh. And this reminds me of a prediction. I can see that America is the central idea. And I think that hope is important to the speech, but not too important to show up really big. All right, so right now that's my impressions. So I want to make some summarization here. So I'm going to look at this. The big idea is, I think the point is, so what it's saying is, now what one could I use? So what it's saying is, that our country needs to look forward, because I know back here that they're talking about forward and both, and those are pretty big words, with hope, because there's some hope here. And forward with hope, for, let's say, for America, because that's the biggest one. Okay, so we used some thoughts and we came up with a conclusion. Your conclusion might not necessarily be this, and you might come out with some different questions. And think alouds end up being much more complex when we get to bigger text, and you're not reading a wordle. But eventually, you want to look at some of the other things. And like want, wants, those are important here. You know, it's in present tense, which I think is important too. The verbs are in present tense. Really, you're just spelling out what you're thinking about when you're reading a text, and this would be an example of what a think aloud would be like. You're going to be asked to do a think aloud and take notes in a similar way. You might want to print out this list and have it next to you, and have a Word document or something similar, maybe your assignment tool out and open, while you're looking at the wordle that you'll be given. I hope this is helpful to you, and please, if you have any questions about this, don't be afraid to give me a call. For these questions, you're definitely going to have to write down your responses for now. Eventually, you're going to have to do some other things, but for now, you're just going to write them down. Again, please let me know if you have any questions. This PowerPoint and the Word document will be part of your assignment in your class, so that you have access to these tools. Thank you very much, and let me know if you have any questions.